Oh,
from,
I've seen that. I've seen that. It was all over on Instagram. Oh, here, let me.
almost as good as Evan recording himself shitting.
Oh, I haven't heard of a plane going down yet, but
It was the A plane got shot down.
That is definitely animation.
I think that's legit.
you think?
Yeah.
No, go back. Can you go back?
Target destroyed.
Well, I don't know about the two.
No.
Target destroyed.
No.
Welcome to the night zone. Hear the warriors speak. Life's the battlefield and we ain't feeling weak. From love to the game and the power we seek. Our voice is strong, breaking every peak. Talk of love and battle scars, everything that's real. From touchdown to sermon, you know the deal. Strength in every word we begin to reveal. Truth in every tale as our lives we unveil. Talk of love and battle scars, everything that's real. From touchdown to sermon, you know the deal. Strength in every word we begin to reveal. Truth in every tale as our lives we unveil. Protect and provide, we're knights in the fray. Nothing off limits, we got something to say. Life and love, fitness and fight all day. Guys Night Podcast, let's ride the wave. Politics and prayers, ain't no subject we shun. Keep it real, keep it raw till the battle's won. Fitness, tips to faith, every topic under the sun. With honor and valor, every man's battle begun. Warriors with word swords through the air. Every point sharp and every talk fair. Knights at the round table, come and pull up a chair. Join the brotherhood, words laid bare. Protect and provide, we're knights in the fray. Nothing off limits, we got something to say. Life and love, fitness and fight all day.
Greetings, everybody.
Guys
Welcome
Night
to the Guys
Podcast.
Night Podcast. It's been a minute since the trio's been together, but we are here tonight, and we are going to fit somehow celebrity bullshit along with Iranian wars and government politics all into the same episode as talking about why Steve at your recent job doesn't need his laptop and doesn't need to be there anymore because of AI. And somewhere in between that, we're going to come up with an amazing top 5 list of what we would consider the best celebrity controversies over our lifetimes, which span anywhere from 10-year-old Evan to 40-year-old me and David. And then we're going to put Evan up to a challenge versus AI. Evan snaps. Who is going to come out on top? So before we get started, how you guys doing?
Good. I finally got a job.
Congratulations, dude. AI did not take your job. Where are you gonna start working at?
Budweiser,
Awesome.
House of Rose. Well, now it's called Ohio Beverage
Instead of
House-
Budweiser?
Yes.
So how do you, after spending 10 years with Miller Lite,
Mhm.
now going to work for the competition? Are
Well-
you excited about that?
Yes, I'm very excited because I actually did a step up because Budweiser is considered the premium brand of all the beer companies.
Is
Not
it
by
maybe
taste.
is it maybe perhaps considered the king of beers?
Not the champagne of beer, but the king of beers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that part of is that their new slogan?
No. The old slogan I used to work. Well, when I worked for Miller,
Almost kind of Nixon-esque there in a way, but he had the extra finger.
Not the king of beers. I mean, we are the king of beers. We're not the champagne of beers.
I almost did the what's up.
You didn't almost do that.
I asked the guys, and they just would have been like, no. And then
Guys, if you are tuning in right now, welcome to the Guys Night Podcast. Please like and subscribe. Join the comments, however you prefer to be involved. If you want to be part of the show, please do. But Evan just recently had a job interview. It was actually last Monday was when you were going in for your final interview, and he was going to Budweiser. And for you out there that understand what it's like to be a pre-millennial Generation Xer awesomeness,
What's up?
we told Evan to go into his job interview and say that to the guy who was going to be doing his final interview, and he was scared.
Oh yes, I was shit scared on Monday.
Did you actually ask them what would have happened?
Yes, I did at the end of the interview.
And what were their words?
Though their words is like, one of them got it because one of them was been with the company for like 37 years.
Okay.
And the other two would have been like, "What are you doing? Are you doing a scary movie joke or something?"
That's what he said he would be like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
So
Because
basically,
they did do that
in Scary Movie, they did.
oh
They
yeah,
spoofed the
Yeah.
commercial.
that's right. They did do that. I remember.
so because the two of the guys are a little bit older than me, but not as old as the other guy. The other guy was like in his like 60s.
Nice.
Then it was interviewing with
He
him.
would have definitely got it.
Yes, he would.
You know,
that's what he said.
I mean, not that we're gonna go into too much of Evan's job interview process, but that's one thing we talked about, like the 80s and 90s, what's different in 2000s, etc.
Oh,
It's like there was like certain things that became associated. Brand awareness was like not just like, I don't know, somebody's ass looking good in Lululemon becoming famous because a bunch of rich people wear it. It was like more like there was things that made you reckon. Like Budweiser was like the king of bears. It was the Clydesdales.
Yeah.
It was the, there was like certain commercials that were just affiliated because they ran like a long period of time. You had
That was a Super Bowl commercial too. That's where
yeah,
that debuted,
yeah, absolutely.
along with the frogs. And
Now,
all the other things.
now the commercials are just lame and nobody remembers anything for them. Otherwise, or maybe a catchy, annoying slogan once in a while that
Yep.
gets stuck in your head.
Did you watch the Super Bowl, Evan?
No, I did not.
I did not either.
I did not.
I watched
Well,
half of it.
all I did watched afterwards is everybody talking about whatever that performance.
The halftime
the
show
halftime
with
show.
Bad Bunny.
But yeah,
I still haven't even seen. I never seen that. I did watch the game because I had to because of Guy Sports Night with Ed. But
Yes.
ultimately, like
it was spoken like a true fan. I watched it because I had to.
I did. I mean, I didn't be able to talk about it, but it was maybe one of the most boring Super Bowls of all time, leading up to maybe the last 10 minutes, which then turned into be a frock too. So
Really?
what are you gonna do, man? And the commercials were fucking lame. Like even my wife was like, I used to be able to watch the Super Bowl because at least I get to see a funny commercial or two. She's like, this game sucks and the commercials are even worse.
Yeah.
And I was like, would you say they are meh? Because that was like at that point it was the commercial with Jason Kelsey Jason Kelsey, where he's like talking about everything being meh, and the only thing that's not meh is YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, like, subscribe to the channel. David, what have you been up to, man?
Boy. Oh, let's see. Did a trip out to Cali. So did a little follow up on the story from a year ago with the wildfires. So that was pretty interesting to tour the areas out there. So I hit both Pacific Palisades and Altadena. And it's pretty wild to see that. In Altadena in particular, 12 homes have been rebuilt. 12.
Wow.
And they lost about 6,000 homes. That's just the Eaton fire. So
What?
yeah. So here we are 1 year later. And 12 people have moved back into their homes. So I went back. Now there were a lot of homes under construction.
Now,
Sure.
is
So
there,
they're in the if to my understanding too, when it comes to wildfires or any kind of fires and things like that, there's a lot that has to pass over time when it comes to like the safety of rebuilding on the property, right? Because of the things that get burned into the ground and things like that, chemicals, etc.
Yeah, so it's not only that, like the biggest fuss was like, where do we begin in terms of like clearing out the lots? So you remember then President-elect Trump landed in the area, met with state and city officials, and they started talking about access. So you have some of these areas where homes were built in some cases more than 100 years ago, but definitely 50, 60, 70 years ago. So you have homes that had things like asbestos and lead in them. And so you get, that, of course, you get a home that catches fire. You got all this shit going into the atmosphere, and then you have all this shit landing. It's, got to hit the ground at some point.
Right.
So then you start having to scoop and remove this stuff up. And I shot a lot of great video now. Of course, I had video. I was there 3 weeks from when the fire started. So, of course, and they had just fully suppressed the fires at that time. So my first round of footage was charred remains. It looked like
Probably still smoky ground in some places.
exactly
yeah.
like it, and it looked like a nuclear bomb went off. Now 1 year later, it looks like you have grass now overgrowing, so you're kind of seeing some signs of life, and you're seeing a lot of lots that were cleared. So they had the Army Corps of Engineers come out, clear all these lots and everything, and so that was the first phase. So 1 year later, I probably encountered a couple dozen lots that hadn't even been touched. So they didn't sign a release to let them come in and do it. Something happened. Maybe they were deceased. Maybe the house is part of an estate or something like that. But so what happens next is, and even homes that California is built a little different than here, right? There's not really basements there. Most houses are, maybe they have a crawl space. A lot of them are built on concrete foundation. Well, they remove everything. They take it down to the raw dirt. Nothing is salvaged out there at all, which in some regards is sort of silly because, yeah, concrete can buckle and everything, but they're just not taking any chances out there. You got a lot of seismic activity and all that stuff. But anyway, so not to burn up too much time talking about that, because we'll have a full video out on it with an update, and it'll be pretty neat to take a look at that. But
so, guys, in that case, make sure you click one of these two places up here so that you can see David's channel, The Thirsty Cowboy, and check out some of those recent adventures and stories and see what California looks like now, I guess, right? Is that video out yet?
Not yet. It's in editing now. There's a lot there with
Isn't there problems with the insurance out there too? That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
I was watching some of the news articles and stuff.
So, and it's a complicated problem because it's not my house burned down and I have to replace it. It's thousands of homes burned to the ground. And again, not to go too far off into the weeds, but they have what's called the FAIR plan out there because it's such a risk to own a home in those fire prone areas that insurance companies were allowed to leave California and cancel insurance. And so the state stepped in as a backup insurance option. So the problem there is that fund was worth about $30 billion at the time of the fires. There's over $300 billion in damages to homes and properties out there. So it's completely insolvent. Now, they're able now to come in and with the Eaton fire in particular, Edison has come in and they're starting to settle people out. So all these things are all complicated. And what's also not making it easier there is now you have the permitting process and everything. And you have historic neighborhoods where they don't want you to just throw up cookie cutter homes. They want to preserve the look and feel of the neighborhood. Well, the neighborhood's burned to the ground, so it looks real shitty now.
Right.
You think they would be a little more flexible. But I met with some pretty cool key people. Altadena is... basically, they don't call it a township, but it's like a township, and they have a town council. I met with the president of that, which would be the equivalent to the mayor. So he gave a partial interview, but he's an elected official. He also lost his house in the Altadena fire, so gave a really interesting interview. And then we kind of respectfully stopped the interview and gave me a full tour and explained in detail what's going on out there. So it'll be a very interesting video when it comes out for people that care to know what's going on out there. I hate to say it's a cautionary tale because it's not it could happen to you, but it happened in Maui, and they're also, they're just a little bit.
They're years and years past that and just now starting to really rebuild. It was even worse over there, I think.
Yeah.
In the terms of, that property that burned up there, not that it's not valuable in California, but it's desert in California. It's not beachside property on on a piece of land that's not going to expand.
Malibu was.
Yeah, you're right. Malibu is. But either way, you're looking at property that's been owned by generations and generations and generations, not redeveloped, not resold.
Right.
Those buildings were, 100 years old, and I think it was just a government trying to get their hands on a lot of that. So
it's funny is that's the nature. So Malibu and Pacific Palisades, Adam Carolla lives in that area, and he's covered it daily forever. He's highly motivated out there. He understands the local and the state government there. He's met with them. It's Adam Carolla, so he's got some more resources than say we do. But that's one thing that I put Altadena, and I've got a personal connection to Altadena, but I put Altadena kind of on par with Maui in that it's not necessarily, there's wealthy people. The fucking Obama's own property in Maui, right? Yeah. But the people who really got hurt are the multi-generational people where they didn't, in today's market, the house is probably a $3 million house in Maui. 800 square foot with a little 400 square foot, auxiliary unit that the parents were living in, right? And that's sort of Altadena. A lot of Hispanic and Black families that immigrated to the U.S. legally and raised their families in these homes. They bought those homes for $40,000 in 1950, and those houses are worth They were worth $900,000, insured up to $700,000. And, so now they have to figure out. So that's the other thing is for anybody out there, if you're real curious, go on to Zillow and search Altadena, California right now and look at how many vacant lots are for sale right now. When I last checked it, it's 150.
Wow.
So, and they've already sold something like 400. So these are people that they can't rebuild because
they're just taking the money. Now they're selling the property, taking the insurance check and going to rebuild somewhere else. I assume.
or moving or whatever,
Yeah.
or they were, 84 years old. And so they're going to, it takes a couple of years. And in California with permitting and everything, you're talking about 2 years from the point where they can actually start building. So yeah, the insurance company came along and said, well, why don't we just write you a check, take what you owe, and we'll write you a check for $400,000. Edison's going to write you a check for $250,000. You take your $650 and move to Arizona,
Right.
and then they're buying a house tomorrow morning.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm going to live out the rest of my life, living, not managing now people that are younger, they're going to rebuild. And
Sure.
they don't want to go anywhere, but
Yeah, interesting, man. I'm glad to look forward to seeing that come out. And Evan, I know you've been on the grind, not only finding a new job, but working on your amazing editing skills. So we appreciate that. Look forward to more Evan Snaps videos in the future. But hey, everybody,
I do have some videos of I have some 2 reels and the video with me if you want to deal with it. Then you can send it to
for the
them.
newest commercial.
Yeah.
Let's send it our way. We'll pull it up in between. But for now, we need to get into the actual episode and why the people are listening tonight. And the reason people are listening is over. It's funny, things go bump in the dark, but apparently they go bump in the middle of the day when foreign countries are having defense meetings where every single major head of defense, from the Ayatollah himself to the Minister of Defense, National Security Council advisor, Chief of Staff, Head of Supreme Leadership, Iranian Intelligence Chief, Police Intelligence Chief, Senior Official in Intelligence, and so many more, up to 40 different people in the leadership of Iran were struck, killed, and destroyed, terminated by Trump and the Israelis over the weekend. 9 a.m. Eastern time, I believe, which was about 3 a.m. Vice versa. 3 a.m. Eastern time, 9 a.m. Iranian time. Trump unleashed holy hell alongside the Iranians. I might have that timeline a little bit wrong. I saw that look from you, David.
no, it's close. Close enough.
But I believe within just a couple hours, over 900 targets were struck by the U.S., and then over 5 or 6 different territories inside Iran were struck with Israel planes, fighter jets, etc. I believe as of this morning, they say they're still a couple of days out from having air superiority and being able to essentially do whatever they want, but that's on its way. And we talked about this once before. We kind of saw this happening. For those who've been following the podcast for a while, I think Dave and I both had the idea that Iran was going to be next, especially after Venezuela, right? It was almost like Venezuela was like, hey, how can we create, end, and win a war in the least amount of time with the least amount of casualties? Now, as of a couple hours ago, we did learn that I believe 3 American troops were killed,
Correct.
5 were injured. As of now, Iran has kind of gone into full defense mode where they're just trying to go out with a bang, bombing Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, Iraq, Jordan, the UAE, Oman, and of course Israel, sending missiles across the borders. I mean, those are their closest states. We've kind of known what their limit was as far as ballistic missiles. Now the only other concern is, do they have the capability of any kind of nuclear warhead or small pieces that can do some, pretty significant damage if troops end up on ground? I don't think that's going to be the case. But a little bit of news that populated on a Saturday morning. I think that during the State of the Union, Trump said you guys have 7 to 10 days, or maybe it was 10 to 15 days, and he was about over these negotiations for the idea that they would never have nuclear power, and on the same point, they would not continue to fund terrorism. They tended to do whatever they wanted. They gave the kind of, hey, come and get us if you want. And I mean, they set it up perfectly. I mean, early Saturday morning, it's funny because everything usually happens when things go bump in the night, right? It's dark. You can't see. They had great moonlight. It would have been easy for night vision attacks. And instead they get them first thing in the morning, sunlight, while they're all meeting at the, I'm not going to even pretend to pronunciate the Ayatollah's full name, but the supreme leader.
Yeah.
I believe it was his house or his compound that the meeting was taking place at. Congrats to the CIA, who just gave themselves credit today for going ahead and finding that information and getting it to the Israelis. And it was like a last minute thing. It sounded like, Trump just said, hey, just go do it, like right now. Don't waste any time. And this is pretty big. I mean, this is essentially taking out the entire presidency, cabinet of the U.S. and half the Congress and Senate, really, with one shot.
Yeah.
What you got, David?
Well, yeah, things are gonna, I think, get interesting over there. It's a lot to unpack. We could spend hours upon hours talking about this, and I think the things that I think are going to come to light here pretty quickly, and I'll just very quickly show my cards. I personally believe Iran already has a nuke. So
You did say that yesterday when we talked.
yeah, that's been my feeling for a lot of years.
Now, when
And-
you say nuke, first thing people think of nuke is obviously like Hiroshima, right? That's what they think of when they think of nuke. But then they think of coming over on a rocket or a ballistic missile. When you say you think they have a nuke, you don't think they have the capability of delivering it to the United States.
Well, they definitely have rockets, and they have thousands of them. And keep in mind that, you know, and for you folks out there watching and listening, pull up the map. I mean, when you hear about these countries and you think like, well, these are neighbors, like people think, well, you know, like U.S. and Mexico's next door. But like for anybody who's not a geography buff, Israel is separated from Iran by Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and Iraq. If
here
you
we
go
This should
directly
be-
west,
This should be, hold on a second. I'm trying to get this.
that's a good map right there.
Yeah, it's just,
it was.
It's
It just got
fine.
too
All
large.
right, so it's just gonna make me click on it. Sorry. So here's Iran. You can say right Iran, which Iraq is next door.
Yep.
Speaking of, almost all day today, different U.S. bases and posts have been under attack in Iraq. They did attack the embassy, or at least kind of come out there and attempt to. And I think that just confirms what we known going back to 2010, that Iran had terrorist groups inside Iraq to kind of continue to create chaos,
We'll come
keep
back.
troops
I'll-
over there,
Yeah,
etc.
I'll come back to that. But
So then you've got Iraq, you've got Syria, Jordan, Saudi, and then where am I? Turkey, the UAE. There's Qatar, Kuwait.
can you
which-
can you unzoom that just a little bit?
I can try. What are you trying to look for? Just
Well, that was a little too much.
see. That's
Well, if
why.
you go to CNN, they have a better map, and it shows
Right
you-
there is good. Right there is good. Just slide it up just a little bit. No, the other up.
This
Like
one?
that. Yeah. Now take it back. Oh, right there. Okay.
Okay,
If you hold
all right.
that for just a second
Sure.
there. Well, okay. So in this picture, you can see Israel's not even in the map, like, which is fine.
No,
Let's leave it out
right.
right here. But yeah, to your point, you had bases hit in Iraq. They also hit bases in Kuwait, which are right below that. They
Sure.
hit bases in Qatar. They have missile strikes actually in Doha, the capital of Qatar. So in that region, and then also into the UAE.
Sure.
Dubai
Dubai.
got hit. There was a guy who
Surprising to hear Dubai involved in any kind of. I mean, but why not? Right?
It's these are all countries that we have. I mean, they have alliances with us, and then a very big important one is the second largest financially, and definitely the largest size-wide. You can see where Riyadh is right there in Saudi Arabia.
Sure.
Massive U.S. base that's there as well. So hence the reason the Saudis said, oh, hell no. But they
Right.
said it, in another language. But that's why the Saudis are now involved in this. So all of those areas right there are all in missile strikes. So now if you zoom it back out, and then you see, or yeah, just slide it over. Okay,
Slide
hold
up
it
to
right there.
Israel.
So you can see where Israel is over here. Now, they have missile capability of crossing over Iraq and over Jordan.
Right.
We have bases in Jordan as well.
Jordan was struck too, if I'm not mistaken.
Jordan was struck as well, and so you can see where Israel is in the map here. So, and then now on top of that, now you have the quote unquote proxies you're hearing about. So you have these other groups like Hezbollah and Hamas, which are located in Syria, which you can, right where the Golan Heights is right there.
Sure.
That's what connects that. And then, of course, in Lebanon, which is where Hezbollah is, and then, Beirut in south. Now, conflict and war in all of these areas is not new. This has been going on for
years and years and years and years. And years.
It's been going on since the day after the creation of Israel in particular, but this area has been in conflict for thousands of years.
I mean, you go back to the Persian War.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's constantly, and it's, you and I had this conversation before. I mean, this was a a continent of the world that was always based off of slavery. You overtook one country, or at that point territory, or whatever, and you enslaved its people.
Yes.
The men conscripted into your military to continue going forward. The women raped, slaved, beaten, whatever.
Yes.
And moved on. I mean, that's essentially been going on since, if you guys have watched the 300, the Battle of Thermopylae,
Yep.
that's what that's all about, right? It was the Persians trying to take over for Greece.
Ooh.
So
hold on one quick second right there. There's one thing I want on this slavery thing to freeze on, right? Think about our country today, right now. Are we still talking about slavery in our country right now?
We are.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're supposed to be living with white guilt because now my family never. Did your family own slaves?
I don't believe so.
I know for a fact mine.
I know
didn't,
dating
like-
back. No, actually, no, I know they wouldn't have, because my grandparents came over on the boat. So
Yeah. Evan, how many slaves does your family own?
None. My grandfather came from Ireland
Right.
on the boat, so
And they were basically British slaves. So,
Yeah.
So, okay. Anyway, but we're expected to live
Sure.
with white guilt because of the fact that our country was, you know, we had Chinese slaves who built the railroads, and then obviously the African slaves. Like, that's our fault still to this day, right? Okay. Today, well, maybe not so much today. 3 days ago, here's the really crazy thing about this, because there's the crowd out there, and, you know, mixed emotions amongst everybody, but there's certainly the crowd out there that is saying, how is this America first? What are we doing over there? Is this about gas prices and all the usual talking points? Modern day slavery is existent in Iran.
bless you.
Whoa.
goodness, whoa!
You're even allergic to slavery right
I
there.
hate the talk of it.
So slavery exists. It's in a modern day form, but Iran is, we're talking, you know, we're talking about a theocracy here, where you have the upper echelon of a extremely wealthy religious group that runs everything within this country. It is a dictatorship, and
It's beyond a dictatorship. It's a religious dictatorship, which is
Exactly.
even worse, because they can rewrite the rules of religion as they wish,
Yeah.
which then inscripts the people of that country to have to follow it.
And this is the reason why they are celebrating in the streets there. Now, yeah, there are parts of Iran that don't want anything to do with us over there, but I feel that the bigger numbers are celebrating because they're seeing a change, because they are enslaved over there right now, 100%.
Yeah, when you talk about what those people work like, so I knew of it, but I couldn't remember the whole story, right? So my first association with Iran, Iraq, was the conflict that took place in the 80s that the U.S. kind of backed, I believe at that point in time, Iraq on. And I only remember that because in the main stadium in Baghdad, where they had the huge cross savers on each end of it, those cross savers are engulfed in green, like Kevlars, so to say, from that war, right? So that was my first interest in it. It was like, oh, was Iran. Anyhow, so prior to the 80s, Iran was extremely westernized.
Right. That's
Like
correct.
people say it occasionally, but I'm talking like mini skirts on
Yeah.
girls, college campuses thriving, loud music, rock music, like a very westernized. Now, the people at that time were kind of split because the Shah, as it were, ruled with an iron fist in a lot of ways. And they also thought he basically did whatever we wanted him to, right? So that was why it was so easy for the Ayatollah to kind of come in and gain power, was because there was a significant section of Iran who was like, we don't want to be associated with the United States. We definitely don't want to be their puppet. We definitely don't want this. Well, when the Ayatollah came in, that's when he kind of did this, Sharia law?
Sharia law.
Sharia law, right? Sharia law, where the women get covered up, they lose them essentially all of their rights overnight. Men are given more power. The dictatorship or the leadership group under the supreme leader, who has control and complete power over everything, from the secret police to the militaries to their judges and judicial system, to really anything, in the sense that if he wanted to, he could be like, hey, go kill that guy Evan, and you could do nothing about it, right? So he created this law that was a Muslim-based law, that it was the only way to live by. And as that adapted, the people became more and more suppressed. Now, I've had a young man who is in his 20s who actually came over here to the United States who worked with me in the dealership. And at that point, this is 10 years ago, he's like, most Iranians do not want that life anymore. Not that they want to be Americanized and live in this scenario, but they want freedoms that they don't have under this leadership. However, the Ayatollah has ran his secret police and doing through everything else have really, I mean, you have no choice. And that goes into what really kicked this off was January, February, and you had, I think, the numbers are all still all over, but I've heard between 20 and 40,000 people protesting in the streets killed.
Right.
So for those of you who are on the side of the left, at least President Trump is not going and massacring you by the tens of thousands when you say that he's a dictator. Think about that before you speak, right?
That's man, talk about hitting the nail on the head right there. Like, yeah, I was the same people that are going to sit here and that are going to argue. It's the same people that think that doesn't matter what Trump does. He's terrible. He's awful. Orange man bad, like all of that. But it's the same people that have the freedoms to go out in the streets and, yeah, you know, if you take a gun to a protest with you and you're starting a fight with agents and you're interfering, you could get arrested. Things could get terrible. You could get killed out there, just like we've seen, right? The same people that are arguing about that, saying this is dictatorship, this is awful. Just imagine this. Yeah, how about you're out in the street just watching and you just get shot and killed and it's okay because somebody in the government said, "Oh, they were a terrorist, so we had no other choice." That's what that was the president's statement today when he was actually asked. Like he went on our I think he went on, he's been on a couple, but on Fox, they specifically asked him and he sat there and said, "Oh, yeah, we determined that they were part of a terrorist network." Unarmed people out there protesting were part of a terrorist network, and so that's why they were immediately assassinated.
Correct. Yeah, the president of Iran.
Right, the president of Iran, which, you know, so I'm glad you brought that up because the same, predominantly the lefties, and, you know, we're not sitting here glorifying war and people dying. It's all terrible, but the same people kind of, I guess their hatred or their political motivations sort of blind them from just looking at some common sense here and understanding. And these are also people that I find they've never even left this country. They've never been anywhere else, or maybe not even have left the state. Like a lot of these people have never been anywhere else to see how people are living in other places.
Well, we live in a country where we have these freedoms, and their freedoms aren't just to allow you to protest, but you're almost made to feel guilty to even have a say against those protests, right? Like, let the protesters say and do whatever they please. If you interject, you're the bad guy. So we even overdo that freedom, right? And we'll get into it. Well, I'm going to hear your point of view. I want to hear Evan's point of view, and I'll express my own. We had somebody reach out to us on Facebook today. I don't know if you saw the mention, but a fan of the show, as always. This gentleman asked us, in today's scenario, where David and I were very strongly pro-Trump, pro-American first. Does this war change our opinion of Trump? Is this what we wanted? Because we were also, I think you were as vocal as I was in not funding Ukraine in their war against Russia.
That was part of the question too. Is
Correct.
why were we not in as much support over Ukraine? And that's assuming that the U.S. hasn't supported anything with Ukraine. But we can answer that. Too,
and also that I even support what's happening currently, or we do. So we'll get into that as we finish up this topic here shortly. And then we'll ask Evan his opinion. So, Evan, you've been doing some research on this. Share kind of what your experience has been with this, not being someone who's necessarily always engaged
I'm not
in
always like you guys. You guys watch the news, read the paper constantly every morning. I get snippets all day long of different things because I have friends that are in the military. They send me stuff or they tell me stuff, what's going on. And I really don't get a clear view all the time. And even if I do get a clear view, sometimes it's maybe the left's opinion or the right's opinion. It's not just, what's the word I'm looking for, centralized without an opinion on either side.
Do you find that more of your friends, obviously, we spend a lot of time with you, but like outside of us, do you find any number of your friends have opposing views? Like, oh my God, we should not be there. We shouldn't be doing this.
I won't lie. I have friends on both sides.
Yeah.
And I have some friends.
As do I, obviously.
I have some friends that if you literally talk about this and I don't like to talk about. That's why I don't like to talk about politics around any group of friends, because I have a friend group. I'm not going to say names. I'm not going to say people.
Yeah, yeah.
But if I even talk about them, and if I say Trump's good about doing this, they will blow up like a fucking bomb.
Yeah.
It's bad sometimes.
Well,
and it's funny because I want to like, I'm like, seriously, like you guys,
you want to just ask them questions
Yeah.
and hear why, and you know that as soon as you do, you're a bad guy.
yeah, and I don't want to upset anyone. I don't want to piss any people off. I like to play both sides.
Yeah.
I like to play devil's advocate sometimes, and that kind of pisses some people off. And that's
the thing I find is the people that have, and it's the same with people that are, let's say, extreme right.
Of course.
That like if you have an opinion or beliefs that are varying, then that may terminate your friendship with them. And it's the extremes that I think I personally enjoy seeing those people come unglued.
No.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with seeing that. Now, it has its boundaries, right? I'll give you a perfect example. In my wife's family, there's quite a few liberals, and I have been in multiple, I wouldn't say arguments, but heated debates about certain topics from almost everybody on her side of the family at one point or another. And my wife gets frustrated. She's like, "Please stop doing that. Everybody's gonna hate you." And I was like, I don't like. It's like they're like, "Oh, here comes a conservative. Here comes little Nina's conservative husband. Let's fuck with him today." Is what happens. And I was like, and then I answer questions, and then I speak my point of view. It's not like I go in there and be like pro Trump and rip open, and I got my MAGA shirt on or whatever. So. But this weekend, one of her most liberal family members, who I am not supposed to be in a conversation with at all,
about anything,
about it, I just avoid it because I don't.
Morning. Oh, that's it. I've had it.
So they get us a gift, and we asked everybody at the baby shower to bring like a little book as like a thing, and they gave me a book that was Ruth. What's the Supreme Court Justice Ruth
RBG?
Gator. Yeah.
And
I told my wife, I was like, see. This is the shit they do. Like, if I go to their house and I give them a fucking book about fucking Donald Trump, it's going to turn into a fight. I have to just eat crow and walk to the fucking bank. But I thought it was funny because even when you talk about like both sides of the party, I also had somebody in her family that gave me a onesie for the baby that says I cry almost as much as a normal liberal. So it was funny because I was going to take a picture and post it and be like baby shower freaking debates.
I think that that other gift that you guys got needs to go to that family member's house.
My God, that would be hilarious.
That other gift.
Well, the funny thing is, I have a friend that says, please insult me. It doesn't matter. Like, he believes, like Charlie Kirk said, the more freedom of speech you have, it shows your true colors. Like, if you insult me because of what I believe in, what's my religion, and you just piss on me, doesn't make you smarter, doesn't make your belief smarter. I believe everybody should have their opinion, no matter what side it is. Then you can just talk about it. And but just because you yell at me doesn't mean you have the right, like, what was the word I'm looking for? Just because you yell at me and swear at me doesn't mean you're always winning the argument.
Right.
It makes you sound stupider. That's what I believe.
Well, how else do you learn something if you don't hear
both sides
anything?
Yeah.
I'm pulling up X here just to see if I can get some updates and stuff. I actually meant to message you guys. I should have pulled up the video of it to have it ready. But when I was in Austin, I'm sorry, not Austin, Atlanta, just recently for my daughter's cheer competition. While we were there, so Atlanta, where this cheer competition is, it's where like all the main events are. It's where the College Football Hall of Fame is. It's also where Olympic Park is, where they had the main ceremony there.
Congratulations on making it through there without getting shot and killed, by the way.
Yeah, dude, let me tell you, I got a crazy story about Atlanta. Basically walked out of my hotel room thinking I could go right to a convenience store. Glad I got about halfway there, and it was one of those ones where like even I was looking around like this is a really bad idea.
Yeah.
But anyhow, the park area is really nice even at night. It's like a very smooth area, clean, and I forget where I was going with this.
Sorry.
While we were there, there was a huge outpour of people that were not protesting, but were having a rally in the Olympic Square, probably 2,000 to 3,000 people. Pro Trump going to war with Iran. Like, people have been calling for this in the United States because they want to protect there's a lot of Iranians in America currently. But I'm interested in your point of view, not just, on how this took place, the overall story of it, but how do you think this plays even bigger when we talk about just before this India president was visiting Netanyahu in Israel. And was this one last thing where Trump said, all right, Israel, here's what we're going to do. We're going to help you with this Iranian problem. You can partner up with India. We're out. Like, we're not backing this shit anymore because the American people are tired of it. Do you read anything into that? It's just interesting how that happened right before this targeted attack. Obviously, Israel has the desire of being the power player in the Middle East, despite the fact when you looked at that map earlier, they're like pea-sized compared to every other country in that area. And do you see this kind of being the last operations that's between us?
I am so glad. That's real quickly. Can I just pause that question because there's a lot to unpack. Check what I just sent you. I texted it to you.
Okay.
Pull up this Dave Chappelle video here. This is one of my favorites because I want to just use that real quickly to put a fine point on our last topic.
Here's my thing.
Right here.
I would support anybody's right to be whoever they feel like they are inside. I'm your ally in that. However, my question is, to what degree do I have to participate in your self-image? Is it fair that I have to change my whole pronoun game up for this motherfucker? That doesn't make sense. Seriously. If I put on an Argyle sweater and I'm like, hey, everybody, I feel like a white guy in this sweater and I want some goddamn respect and a bank loan, that's not gonna work. Give a fuck how I feel. Why should I give a fuck how you feel? Here's my thing. I would support anybody's right to be whoever they feel like they are.
One of my favorite Chappelle shorts that's floating around out there, but like that's that whole thing of like, you know, your extreme rightist or your extreme leftist friends here, like you don't have to change your whole fucking identity to appease somebody, like, you know. But that's where they are. You have to. You have to bend your knee so far to care about what I care about. But anyway.
Yeah, it's 100%. Like, that's a shame.
Okay, so let's unpack the why and the what and what happens from here with all of the shenanigans here. Okay, so my first bomb I dropped on you guys, pun intended, is that I feel that Iran's already got a nuke. And now whether they have the ability, they have the ability to get munitions from Iran over other countries. Now, I don't feel they have anything that can make it this far. Maybe they do, but we have a lot of shit that can stop it before it gets here. Yeah. And they also have plenty of other targets that they would hit that are allies of ours. Like if they really, I mean, they would just aim it right at Israel if, you know, they have it and that would be their target. Or if they, let's say, don't, or let's say, you know, just like when we went into Iraq, we did the Scud hunting. Remember that? That was all over the news and everything during the first entrance into Iraq. Was we had then spent all of our time hunting down all of their Scud delivery systems, like, because, you know, we need air superiority, so we had to. So, you know, if they have it and it's, you know, a first generation, second generation, and it's so massive that they can't put it into an ICBM, they just leave it somewhere and they just wait for the ground troops to come in and they just detonate it on soil. Like, you know, that's an option as well. But I feel that they likely have it. Quick pop quiz on that, and I'll drop my next bomb in just a second here on you. But how many nuclear superpowers? Let me ask the question differently. How many countries have developed nuclear weapons that we know about right now?
I'd take a wild guess. I think it's like 16.
What do you think, Evan?
22.
It's so there are exactly 10 countries who have created a nuclear weapons. Now there's one country that has dismantled them and took them out of existence, and that was South Africa. Actually had developed one, or developed several, but they later, during the apartheid time frame, they decided to dismantle them. So there's 9 known nuclear superpowers.
So you have the Ukraine, Russia, China, U.S., India, Afghanistan, or Pakistan. Pakistan. So that's 6.
Yeah, Ukraine no longer has them. So the only time
Ukraine turned them over in the deal with Russia, right?
So
but I don't know if they still have
those were
them.
Russian. So I guess the other way to do it is in order.
Gotcha.
So, but so here's the thing: every country that all of a sudden had nuclear weapons, Did they tell anybody they had nuclear weapons? Did they do a press release and be like, oh, by the way, we're working on this thing, we'll let you know?
No, of course not.
No.
You knew about it.
No, it was just like
because-
suddenly they had them.
Yeah.
Or intelligence finally
Yeah.
found out.
So North Korea was the most recent, and so they conducted their first test, and it was like a quarter of a megaton. Like it was a pretty small, but it was still a nuclear weapon. Like we have satellites that can detect the explosions. It's
Yeah.
rather interesting how they know the tests by the way the light emits from the bomb when they detonate.
Well, I was going to say there's also ways that they can detect as soon as one's launched.
Yeah.
Where it's like headed, directed, etc., based on the signatures and
Right.
stuff like that. Like if you read
Right.
Annie Jacobs' book,
Yeah, yeah.
Nuclear War, she talks about
so
that.
amazing. But so North Korea then later tested one that was significantly larger.
Sure.
And there's a nuclear weapon, and then there's a thermonuclear weapon. And thermo are obviously the much larger. They're fusion-based hydrogen bombs, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, so you don't know about it until you know about it kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just that's just how it goes. And that's a whole other separate rabbit hole that our friends can go down and look at that. It's really interesting to see, like, obviously for us, we had a need, we were at war, but every country has a very interesting story about how they developed them and who they developed them with. And that's it's a little bit in Annie's book, but also, I mean, there's a ton of YouTube movies you can go out and see how all of those are.
Well, not only that, but it's funny because I mean, I was part of Enduring Freedom, right? The war against Iraq,
Right.
which was about weapons of mass destruction,
That
which
were
are
never found.
Which one were never found. Two, we didn't even know what that meant,
Right.
right? Because Iraq didn't have a nuclear program that was approaching any kind of
Right.
But theirs was they have bombs that could kill hundreds of thousands of people with what's it called? Gases and chemical bombings, right?
Right.
Well, shit, every fucking country has that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we just have the right to like go into Iraq and be like, we're gonna check all your areas to make sure that you don't have this because of something that happened 20 years ago in Kuwait, which is essentially something that we do, right? We go to war with these countries and then we say like, all right, now we're gonna put you in your place, and your punishment is basically being on whatever the fuck we call your probation, and if you violate that in any way, then we can do whatever we want with you again.
Yep.
And that's what kind of Iran has been, right? They've been under like this probation for so long. They've been under sanctions for so long that really suppressed the country and its capabilities. And this whole time, for those of you who think Trump wanted this, I mean, this entire time has been about him negotiating, be like, hey, look, just give up the idea of nuclear bombs, stop funding your terrorist groups, and start becoming part of the world's civilian citizenship, right? Like, start being a contributor in world trade, start building up your economy, start giving your people a better place, etc. And Iran has wanted no part of the negotiations. They've basically said, no, we're going to do what we want. We're Iran. And they came from a backing of, oh, because we have the IRG, because we have this, because we have these rockets, we can do this. You can't do anything about it, or you won't. And like you and I talked about, people are quickly learning that if you don't negotiate with Trump, like, he's not going to waste the rest of his term talking about it.
Right.
He's going to create action.
Yeah. So, well, and so going back on point, quick side point, Iraq, where did the intel come from that told the world that they have WMDs over there?
What was the CIA? And
Mossad.
yeah.
Yeah, that was it. It came specifically from Mossad. All right, let's play a quick game here.
Well, hold on,
called-
you didn't answer my other question. So
Yeah.
we got to get back to the first part. Is this a big last play for Israel to become a powerhouse in the Middle East? Is this can we have to
Yeah.
wait on this question? Because I
No.
really think this is a topic people want to
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about, right? Like,
So let's.
did Israel do this with the U.S.? Did they try to convince Trump into doing this? Is this Trump's way of saying, all right, Israel, we're going to help with this because there's a reason to help with it, but we're fucking done bending the knee
Yeah.
and making you a part of this. We want you out of our government, because then right before this takes place, the president of India is seen visiting Netanyahu. Big hug at the end.
Both nuclear powers.
Both nuclear powers.
Yep.
India, plenty of troops available, plenty of people available.
Yeah.
And in order to be a powerhouse in that region, you got to have more people because they are close enough to be invaded and quickly just overturned without the U.S.'s backing, right? So if Trump said, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to solve this Iran problem, but we're done. Israel does not, if that is publicized in any way that the U.S., if they stop doing anything with Israel, it will automatically be known against in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And Israel is this big. Every other country is this big. I mean, 10 to 20x.
Yeah.
Like they would be overrun in no time at all if these Middle East countries. So now they need another partner.
They do.
Do you think that's what it is? Or do you think there's something else? Or are they just looking for somebody to make phone calls for them?
Two things.
Isn't China going to be backing them up?
Hold on a second. We'll get into the other side of this.
Okay. So, oh shoot.
Oh, you just drew blank.
He's shooting blanks.
Could be. I'd be fine if I was shooting blanks.
Oh, hey.
Wouldn't have to pull out as much. Anyway. All right. Let's do this. Let's play a game called Israel versus Ohio.
Okay.
Oh, jeez.
Israel versus Ohio. Okay. What's the population of Ohio?
20 million.
I thought it was like 18 million.
So we're at almost 12 million people.
Damn it.
So what is the population of Israel?
To 4.8 million.
I'm going to look that on. Can I look it up?
No, he's got
it's
the
10.
number.
It's 10 million.
It's 10 million. Okay.
So pretty similar.
Okay.
By a couple of million, right? Any guesses what the GDP of the state of Ohio is?
Oh God,
no clue.
I'd say about. Let me throw a number out there. Let me say
just for fun, right?
2 billion.
It's much higher
I was
than
going to
that.
say like 5 trillion.
Yeah, it's not quite that high. So the GDP of the state.
Oh wait, no, we're 33 trillion in debt. I don't know. Fucking what is it?
The GDP, the state with the most GDP is California, and it's like 4.3 trillion out of California. Surprisingly, the GDP of the state of Ohio is just under 1 trillion. It's like 983 billion. Okay, so you have state of Ohio's got 12 million population. Israel's got 10 million. Ohio's GDP is just under 1 trillion. The GDP of Israel, do you think it's higher or lower than the state of Ohio?
I would say it's higher.
You would think, right?
I would think based off of what they're capable of buying.
Right. They have fucking nukes and they buy F-35s and shit, right? So the GDP of Israel is 610 billion. So it is the GDP of what they produce out there is actually lower than what we produce here in the state of Ohio.
Well, it's because everything's given to them through taxpayer dollars.
Okay, so we're going to get into that a little bit here. So see, this is a fun game, right? Israel versus Ohio. Who do you think would win in a real fight?
Ohio.
I don't know.
We don't have nukes, dude. I don't think
Well,
so.
I'm just saying, if it was like, say, okay, like, say, if Jay tried to invade,
We gonna send the National Guard and the Highway Patrol.
Well, that, and I'm just saying.
All right, so Ohio was the state of Ohio. The state of Ohio is 223 years old. It's the 17th state, so it got statehood in 1803. Israel is 78 years old. It was founded in 1948. So, how do you figure that happened? Now, you said a little bit of it, Will, that like, so how do you get this state that's under 100 years old amass this amount of resources? Now, if you go to your AI and you go to your Google and everything, and you know, it's like, well, what do they produce? Like, where's this all coming from? Right.
I mean, I think that essentially this is what happens when you overcorrect.
Okay. From like what happened with the Jews and
World War
all of that.
II.
Okay.
Right? Like we've been guilted into this need to protect this small, I don't want to say island, but small country of Jewish people.
Yeah.
We've really allowed them to do whatever they want as far as the way that they treat and oppress the other races of people inside their country.
Okay.
And not only that, because they're surrounded by, I wouldn't say an anti-Jewish, but really is Islam versus Christianity section of the world, and they've built this small little state for themselves. We've protected them, and not just protected them a little. We've allowed them to build up quite a military behind a psychopath in Netanyahu, who can only want more and more and more from his partners. Which ultimately, what do they bring us other than an ally in that area? But we've got other allies over there as well, right? Despite Iraq being a broken country, it's still considered an ally in the sense that they're not going to wage war against Americans. You've got Saudi Arabia. Kuwait's been a long time ally. So we have allies already in the region. There's really no reason to ally with Israel unless you're part of the pro-war, pro-defense department, and they give you the excuse to be at war with essentially the rest of the country. So
see, now we're definitely getting somewhere here.
Well, so it goes to two things. Like I said, it's overcorrection. One, we've given this Jewish country kind of all this power because of us feeling some sort of way regarding the way Jews were treated during World War II, which two separate things. They can be two separate things. We don't have to.
I think that's the public facing portion of it. Like definitely following World War II. Because now the other thing I would throw...
So that gave us the reason for allowing it. I think the underlying and the main course of the region is we want a center of destruction that we can use to always excuse a reason for war, right? We talked about
Someone's reading ahead here.
Ooh,
but
or thinking ahead.
You need a country that's going to always be up for it. Well, of course, the country that's the smallest and has the least amount of population versus its surrounding areas, that has a counterpoint religion, that has all these different things going against all these other countries.
I'm going to drop the bomb right now.
Now you have a reason, like say, hey, like, all right, hey, look, we're going to back you, we're going to fund you, we're going to protect you, but you're going to always pick fights. And they got a guy to run that country that's going to pick fights on his own and then knows that he can come
Here comes the bomb. You ready?
All right, go.
Israel is the 51st state of the United States. There's your bomb right there. Israel is the 51st state of the United States. I'm not saying it's going to be.
No. You're saying it is based off of we're like protecting them like they're one of our states.
We created them.
Yes,
agreed. We absolutely created. Like that's what I'm saying. Like you're like right there, and like there's a couple things that I think fundamentally people get hung up behind, like the Holocaust and and this that and the Holocaust was terrible, but that's a microcosm as part of this entire state and this entire place that's created and all the history there. Everybody knows the story of what happened with Hitler and the Jews and everything and all of the genocide and everything. I promise you that these people did not want to pick up from relatively comfortable living in places in Germany, really cold living in places like Lithuania and Estonia. They did not want to be picked up from there and sent to the fucking desert. I promise you. But what people don't realize is that even before they were picked up and relocated, and before they were put in, camps, like they stole everything from these people. Yeah. Like, they would literally wall these people into neighborhoods, go in and take any sort of currency, any gold, any artwork and everything, right? We don't need to give everybody a full-blown history lesson, but these were business owners, these were very hardworking people that they decided, and it wasn't just Germany, it was Russia, like that's Hitler's known for all of the Jews that he killed, but people forget. They just think Russia is we just had the Cold War with them and all this other stuff. Well, Stalin imprisoned millions of Jews that they just don't talk about that.
Sure.
Like
because he was an ally to us in that fucking war.
Because he was helping us fight. But in the meantime, I'm going to put all my family history out there, but my grandparents fought in the Russian army. They were Lithuanian. And part of the family was Jewish, and since they were military, they were given a pass. But some of the family that and friends are they were either killed in combat, or they were moved, or they were interned and moved around. But anyway, so It's funny that, again, and some of the same people today that like to, put up that argument of like, well, why don't we just let the UN resolve this and, maybe negotiations and these things, could take place. Are you guys aware that Israel was created by the UN?
Well, I was just pulled that up actually just a few minutes ago because I couldn't remember how that was actually built.
I could tell you.
But the UN essentially split up Palestine in order to create the a place for Jewish people to go, which it flocked its population from Jewish people all over the world going there because, I mean, obviously there's Jewish history to Bethlehem and to
and that goes back like thousands of years. That's
correct.
Like the Holy Land is disputed like 1,000 years before Christ.
Correct.
Like there's
but they gave them their own state inside of Islamic territory.
So the UN, the great negotiators out there, with the UN Resolution 181, which was passed in 1947, decided that they would split Palestine, and the Brits were involved as in the partition plan, and of course, President Harry S. Truman, a Democrat, by the way, was the first to recognize Israel as its own state. Fun fact.
Fun fact indeed.
So this whole argument of stolen land, whether we're on stolen land here or others are, like this is all kind of stupid arguments to be having, and the state of Israel against Palestine and everything that's there, it could also be a stupid argument. But none of this stuff was created by Trump or Bush or anybody in modern day. Like this was created by the UN, which is a collection of all of the United Nations of the world. And anyway, so yeah, a big part of that was to settle displaced Jews from World War II, but it was not just from Germany. It was Poland, the Baltics, Russia, even Central Asia. Like these were hardworking families that got sent there during this time, and they had nothing at the time. They had zero.
Yeah.
Now, here's the reason why I say that Israel is the 51st state. Because we funded it, and we funded almost all of it.
The original conversation or portion of it in 48.
Not only that, so in 1949, Harry S. Truman, same guy, sent $150 million in aid to Israel to help with the creation of Israel. And then in 51, Congress passed a whole entire economic package to help with refugees that were settling there. And then I'll just blast through each of these points here because it's pretty stunning. And most people don't realize this, but 1962 to 1973, that's what began the major military investment into Israel. 1962, a guy by the name of pretty famous Democrat. You guys may have heard of him. His name is John F. Kennedy.
Yeah.
Democrat.
Yeah.
He brokered the first arms sale to Israel.
Interesting.
And then in 66, LBJ brokered and set them up with fighter jets, American made, the A4s and F4s.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 1973, this is the real turning point for Israel. In 1973, it was the Yom Kippur War. They call it that because it occurred during Yom Kippur, which is a Jewish holiday. But we did a $2 billion emergency aid package to Israel. But people don't talk about this. And
$2 billion in 73. Yeah.
So people just don't really understand this. But then here is the one. This is the one that's the biggest. And if you really want to learn something about Israel, do you guys know what? So I talked about their GDP. Do you know what their biggest industry is, by the way?
I do not know.
It's quote unquote tech. It's called just tech.
Oh.
Tech.
So
yeah, essentially, the way that you get spammed and they steal all your data from your cell phone.
So, and there are some massive tech companies that are in Israel, but here's the thing that created that.
Just real quick, $2 billion in 73 is equivalent to $16 or $17 billion today.
Massive money.
Massive money.
So 1985 when Will was
Today we
1 year
provide
old.
them about $3.8 billion a year in regular military assistance.
There you go. But I think it's more because of this. 1985. Pull this up just for shits and gigs. 1985 free trade agreement. What the fuck is that? No one's ever heard of this.
We actually did talk about the free trade agreement. That was a little bit of Pelosi in the late 80s talking about wanting to undo the free trade agreement and Clinton being behind it, right?
Basically, what the free trade agreement does, I'll be curious to see what Chat GPT.
Yeah, I put in regards to Israel just because I'm curious as to how it frames it.
Let's see what she says.
Just thinking. Israel free trade agreement was the first free trade agreement the United States ever signed. The leaders, blah, 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 blah. Israel became the first country to enter a bilateral free trade agreement with the U.S. before NAFTA, before Canada and Mexico. It removed most tariffs on manufactured goods, gradually reduced agriculture trade barriers, encouraged tech and defense cooperation. By 95, tariffs between two countries were essentially eliminated. The deal wasn't just economic, it was geopolitical. Cold War era, Israel was facing hyperinflation. The U.S. wanted to stabilize their economy and commented on a long-term strategic partnership. 1985, U.S. trade $4 to $5 billion annually. Today, over $40 to $50 billion annually. Major tech and defense partner now, the idea. So, yeah, that's kind of the idea. We kind of set them up, right?
So this,
I mean, really, do you think we're funding their? Maybe we're actually just funding their intelligence because their intelligence really is the best in the world, right? So maybe this is our way of doing intelligence work that's outside of our laws and regulations by funding Israel so that they could do it. And
So-
their export is their ability to do what we need them to do, which is, go bump in the night.
So we have this understanding like a free trade agreement here, like on a flat level. It's just kind of like, oh, so we just trade with them, no big deal.
Right.
But if you go and you look at art tech companies that have massive data centers over there, and so which circles around, especially to today's intelligence operations, which require, I mean, all of our wars going forward are going to be fought with cyber. Like
Of
that's
course.
where it's at. And this is, I'm telling you, where the biggest war chest for this lives is over there. And it's been all of these companies that have been allowed to go over there. So just so when you have a free trade agreement, you're now not subject to tariffs. You're not
Correct.
subject to its trade is exactly as if, so financially they're already our 51st state. Because
Correct.
we can, it's no different where if Google decides to move from California to Texas, well, Google can move to Israel if they wanted
Sure.
to, and they've moved a lot there. There's a ton there. Intel is over there. They have massive, all the big tech companies all have massive operations over there. So it's significant for that. But so then we come back around to the bigger conspiracy here with Israel and all of this tying in is how is it that you have a country that's not even as old as the state of Ohio and they're this level of fighting force? They've got
Sure.
F-35s. They've got pilots that can fly. I'm a pilot. I'm a helicopter pilot, but I can fly a Cessna. I couldn't fly an F-35.
Right.
Like where's
the training coming from? Where's the
Yeah. I mean, I could, I could go buy a helicopter that I've never flown and I could figure out how to fly it. Well, F-35s don't work that way. Like, so we're, they obviously buy them from us and then we're training them. Obviously that's what it looks like on paper. But so that's the basic part of it. But how does a country that's roughly in population the size of Ohio, but with less amount of money to spend, develop what could be the world's most successful operation, intelligence operation, like, the Mossad and the IDF, like how these guys are 78 years old. How do they have this fighting force?
Well, I think that just goes to show, looking at Israel, and you mentioned it being the 51st state, it would essentially be like if the U.S. government had to make one state out of our 50 very, very powerful, it would just be like essentially building Israel inside of Ohio.
Right.
Right. Like without having to add more people, it's just giving us the tech to do it.
Yeah.
And then the resources.
But now we have plausible deniability so that
Of course.
we control. So there's the theory out there. It's like, oh, Israel has got all this dirt on people and they control everybody. It's like, why wouldn't you think that that's just our very well trained rattlesnake out there, because we could point them in the directions, and we can basically, I mean, we control them financially. Like
once again, that leads back, perfect timing. Let's get this question answered, David. Is that the idea between India and Israel meeting then? Are we going to leave Israel in the dust?
No, because Israel is us. That's the bottom line there. Like, that's the answer to the question there, is that's they're doing our bidding over there. That's our foothold in the area. Yeah, we've got all of our partnerships with all the neighboring countries, and we've got bases and we've got troops there. Absolutely. But we have an extension of the U.S. sitting right there on that soil, and we're acquiring more. We want more. Like, we're talking about this, low levels, talking about turning what's left of Gaza into another UAE, where it's super high end real estate and a financial epicenter. They're in the process of building another canal that's going through Israel. I don't know if you guys were aware of that one.
Did not know.
So there will be a competing canal that will compete with the Suez Canal that's being dug right now through the southern part of Israel, and they need to acquire land to make that happen. That plays into this. Canals, believe it or not, they're a massive part of trade. The biggest thing with Iran right now is going to be the interruption going through, the Golan Pass there. Like, a fifth of the world's petroleum supplies coming through that little strip down there.
I have a quick video on that talking about that. If you want me to send that over to you.
Yeah, you can send it to me. How are you going to send it to me? Message, text? AirDrop.
I can AirDrop it. No, I can't AirDrop it to you. Can I send you the link through AirDrop?
You can't AirDrop it?
No, it's on Instagram.
Oh, just send it as a message. Like,
then let me
copy and paste it.
Guys' night.
Yeah, it's fine.
Let me just send it to you guys, because it talks about the oil and how it's going to impact everything. So let me send it to you right now. Then.
Good job, Evan.
Yeah,
Evan, what's your? We've been kind of blabbering.
No, you're
about all
good.
this
No,
stuff.
I've been sending you links to different things right now. Like CNN just let President Trump just.
Is this the
landed
one you
in
just sent me right here?
Yeah, that one.
Oh, dang it! I hate when that happens.
That country.
Hold on a second, folks.
Yeah.
Did you know one country falling could shake India, China, and Russia at the same time? That country is Iran, and the map explains everything. Iran quietly supplies 10 to 15% of China's oil, often relabeled through Gulf routes. That's why China signed a 25-year secret energy deal with Tehran. Now imagine this: Iran's regime collapses, and Tehran shifts back under U.S. influence, just like before 1979. Suddenly, the U.S. gains leverage over Iranian oil, the Strait of Hormuz, and West Asian choke points. For India, this is dangerous. Iran is India's land bridge to Armenia and Central Asia. If Iran flips, that corridor breaks, and pressure rises around Pakistan and Kashmir. For China, it's an energy trap. Iran gone means most of China's oil sources are indirectly controlled by the US. For Russia, Iran is a southern shield. Lose Iran, lose drones, depth, and regional balance. Iran isn't just a country, it's a domino on the world map. And if it falls, the shockwaves won't stop at its borders. Did you know?
Yeah, that was the other. The other direction there is just like with Venezuela, it's a choke point for oil into China, which means China's now going to go back to its dependence on its own, but then also Russia as well. Like, this is what we were talking about yesterday, is that it's a trifecta there, in that if we're to have to fight against Russia, we're going to likely be fighting China.
Yes.
And which means we're also fighting Iran. Well, we just took out one of those pieces, right?
To a degree. Let's not pretend that Iran is just some weak flailing Venezuela right now. They still have thousands of rockets that are being launched as we speak. And Iran's they're not foolish about it. They're going after big targets that are going to affect the world. They're going after the big tower in Dubai that I just saw in there. They're going to be going
Burj
after
Khalifa.
Major cities. They're going to be trying to make an impact and cause as much damage as they can on their way out. Now, what happens then is that, I mean, let's be real. I don't think the remaining leadership of Iran is going to be meeting for breakfast at 9 a.m. on a Saturday anytime in the near future in an area that is not, reinforced by 1,000 feet of solid concrete, 2 miles under the ground, etc. So now we've launched this attack. Unfortunately, we missed a few of the 48. I think we got 40 of 48. I think we're there. So now you've got to somehow get the Iranian population to take over their country. The hard part of that about that is this is still a country that's split. The younger generation, I do feel like, wants a more freedom, more revolution, like a more they will spark a revolution.
Yeah.
The problem is when you go in and you strategically target leadership and buildings and supply depots and things like that, you're not getting rid of the millions that are serving in the IRG, or the millions, not the millions, but the hundreds that are serving in the secret police, the Basij, which is one of the most like just disgusting. You talk about the Gestapo, you talk about the SS and stuff like that. Like the Basij is right up there.
They're
so
fucking nasty.
You're not eliminating these people. Now, the difference is, and I heard this conversation today, is like after Iraq, when we took over Iraq and we left their special forces and things kind of rambled, and the rest of their Republican Guard, like those dudes dropped their uniforms. They didn't want anything to do with it. They burned their gear because we were over there. We were implementing their country. We were in their houses. We were going door to door, etc. They didn't want to be associated with us, but that didn't stop then from them maybe not picking up that uniform, but then going and conducting operations, like the roadside bombs and things that we came across, and starting wars in better ways, as far as learning that, ground forces in a traditional army is not as powerful as what's the word I'm looking for? What do they call it? Gosh, I'm drawing a blank, but where basically you look like a regular civilian and you're starting a chaos.
Oh, insurgency.
Insurgency. Thank you.
Yeah.
Without us having troops on ground, though, that's eliminated. But it also means we can't eliminate the actual enemy force that's Iran's standing on, and you still have a civilian population that does not have weapons. They're not Americans. They don't have the power that Americans have. They might have the numbers,
right?
But they're still afraid to go outside right now, and I think that's shown by the fact that some of these protests have been shut down very quickly, and obviously with no internet in the region, we can't see really what's going on.
Yeah, a quick note on Iraq versus Iran and that administration compared to this administration. Like, to no big surprise, we had the former CEO of the largest defense contractor on the planet as the vice president at the time. There was a direct, very easy to spot connection of like, who is wealthy and who is going to benefit from going to war with Iraq, and to extend that for an extent, as long as it did. And then even worse than to go into Afghanistan and spend 20 years in Afghanistan and then just to leave and then turn it right back over to the regime that, we kicked out of Iraq, and to where they just immediately put Sharia law back in place. Right. So it's obviously, it was 20 years of military spending and, thousands of U.S. lives lost and et cetera, et cetera. I don't really see, and this is just a guess at this point, because we're not the administration, like, we're not politicians, but like, I don't really see that. Trump's a business guy. He's always been a business guy. Like, everything is a deal. And when there's time to use force, there's times to use force. But I really think that he's a hit it and quit it kind of guy. And I kind of see that happening here as well. Of course, the military industrial complex wants us in as many different theater wars as we can, because then it's more money spent and so on and so on. But I really do see that it's like that. Okay, the adults are talking here, like, kids, please stop screaming. Like, the adults really need to address like these very complex issues. And it's that trifecta of Iran, Russia, and China. And we said this before, I'll say it again. Like, I think what happens next is Ukraine's going to get settled. Zelensky's out. He can't stay. It's the bottom line. It's like the one of the two of them have to go. And, I think that this answers the question of our friend who posted something earlier here, is that these are all complex issues. This is not just, those who are anti-Trump just say, oh, he just wants to blow shit up. He wants this. He wants to make money for his friends. He wants these things. These different conflicts they're very complex, and there's different solutions here. And I think that the playbook with Ukraine has been right along the same lines that we did when we defeated the Soviet Union in the Cold War. Is we've kept enough funding in the game there to where Russia, this worked before of the Soviet Union. Like, we just let them bankrupt themselves between the space race and the arms race, where they spent themselves into oblivion. And if we look at, yeah, it sucks. Like I've made personal friends with several Ukrainians who had to flee for their lives, and they're living here in lovely Ohio now. And it's absolutely terrible, what's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, we could have gone in and settled it a lot quicker. Then again, we could have been at war with China, which would not be a fast thing. Could be downright terrible. I think that what we've done has been slow and calculated, and I think has had a severe impact to the financial system in Russia. And I think that they're really on the brink of having to reorganize a collapse, or them having to make changes, or them trying to push Putin out, because they're in pretty terrible shape. So I think that's worked. And here comes another choking off of distribution of resources, namely, oil being the biggest one, petroleum, and that's a strike on both of them. But I think that should answer our friend's question there. I think we've taken the right. It's it's like if you have cancer, you're right, and it's like, okay, look, you can take out the cancer, which is going to suck. We have to cut you open. You may still die. Maybe it fixes itself, and maybe you don't die, whatever. Like, it's a risk, but you find out about something, you're going to have to make a decision based on what's best. Well, it's the same thing over here in Ukraine. I feel like we're not there. They're not throwing bombs at us per se. It's unfortunate what's going on. We're feeding them weapons, but at the same time, we're slowly draining Russia. Like if it was so cut and dried, like Russia would have, they already would have reclaimed the entire country, but
of course
they can't. They haven't been able to do that.
Yeah.
No, and I think to answer that question, listen, I'm very far from pro-war. I've wanted us to not start new wars. Now, do I think that the way that we're doing this now is better than sending troops over there? Of course.
Yeah.
I think it's way less expensive. I think it puts way less of our troops in at risk.
Mm-hmm.
And it still allows us to create some strategic advantages. However, at the same point in time, I am disappointed that our lack of inability to negotiate from a stance of our desire to once again still control the rest of the world. But maybe it was time for America to kind of put the boot on the throat again of the rest of the world and let them put them on notice. Because I think, as disappointing as it is to see that we're in war, I don't think these are definitely not forever wars.
Right.
Now they are new wars, and this one with Iran, we'll see where this stands in 3 weeks. I'll give you my answer in 3 weeks if I thought this was a good idea. Because frankly, I thought we were in a better place. I think that the idea that we could have done this, we could have once a year just rebombed nuclear sites and kept them from creating a nuclear weapon, and that would have been fine. Ultimately, if any country wants to get a nuclear weapon, they just got to pay for it. I mean, let's be real. China would gladly have sold Iran a nuclear weapon.
They have the money for it, for sure. Quick fun fact there, based on like potential insurgency, just estimates are 1.1 million armed people in Iran.
1.4 million armed.
1.1 million armed, like between active duty and reserve military forces. And
okay,
police.
military. I thought you meant just people in general.
Yeah, the general public don't own any firearms, but military, like active and reserve, it's
now,
over 1 million people.
The hard part about this now is knowing what's real and what's fake.
Oh yeah,
it's all fake.
Speaking of, I got this notification earlier. Canadians go home. Like surrounding
Canadians have surrounded the U.S. What are they
armed
with? Fucking syrup?
Yeah, dude. I mean, I don't know if that's even legit news, but if it is, just go home. Like, don't get involved in this.
Fucking Canadians. The problem up
now
there
this
is
says
they
this
start
is an
drinking
Iranian
very young.
plane. That's really shocking to me if that's really an Iranian plane.
That's
That's
not
that's
real.
Not
No,
real.
That's from an air show.
Yeah, dude. Oh, they're finally makes contact.
Does a little oop to you, goes straight up into the air trying to avoid fire. No, that's fake. That's cool looking though.
Well, and that's the problem right now. Your news source is completely
blowing up with AI videos, all kinds of stuff, all kinds of trash full of.
Yeah, that's not real either.
Like the people are copy and pasting videos from old sites.
Yeah.
Or using AI to enhance them.
An Iranian Jamaran class corvette right at the Jawahar port. I mean, it's just so difficult. U.S. forward ballistic carrier and Abraham Lincoln engagement bait. So yeah, so this is the problem right now. Everything is engagement bait. Like we can't believe anything. Iran's going to be putting out every piece of fake news they can. I had a piece up or a video up earlier that said that they had killed 500 troops, etc. It's going to be tough to find out what's real and what's not real over the course of the next 3 days. I think that it's going to be extremely important for Trump to really make sure that they get on here. Let's see what this one says.
Missiles. And they framed it as part of retaliation for the recent U.S. Earlier in the day on March 1st of 2026, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps claimed that it successfully struck the USS Abraham Lincoln CVN-72, which is the U.S. aircraft carrier that went to the Middle East in preparation for these strikes. They claimed that they hit it with 4 ballistic missiles. And they framed it as part of retaliation for the recent U.S.-Israeli airstrikes, saying that it was part of Operation True Promise 4. Various Iranian state media outlets such as the Tasnim news agency and others reported this IRGC statement and asserted that the carrier was hit and warning that, quote, the land and sea will increasingly become the graveyard of the terrorist aggressors. However, U.S. Central Command posted about 30 minutes ago on their official X account saying, quote, Iran's IRGC claims to have struck the USS Abraham Lincoln with ballistic missiles. Lie. The Lincoln was not hit. The missiles launched didn't even come close. The Lincoln continues to launch aircraft in support of CENTCOM's relentless campaign to defend the American people by eliminating threats from the Iranian regime. Or what most folks that are Iranian like to say, or they prefer you to say, is the Islamic regime. Now, in addition to that, there's no independent verification or evidence like satellite imagery, debris photos, or any types of things like that that have emerged to support the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps' claims of successful strikes on the carrier.
I think he's a former pilot, if I'm not mistaken. If that's the guy I'm thinking of, I'm pretty sure I follow him.
So once again, it's gonna kind of really debate on where you get your information from. Stay tuned. We're gonna have to do a part 2 on this because we've already ran, an hour and a half into the night. But in fact, maybe we'll do that. Maybe tomorrow or Wednesday we'll get together and we'll do a part 2.
Wednesday. Tomorrow I'm gonna be a little bent out of shape for my first day back.
Oh, you'll be just broken in.
Back to
back to work.
One final note I just wanted to throw out, just kind of in the history of all of this, specifically with Iran. This all really started under Jimmy Carter. It's Jimmy Carter's fault. Another Democrat.
Jeez.
But you brought up some of it when you were talking about, Iran was very westernized. True story. 79, the Shah of Iran fled. Carter allowed him to come to the States for cancer treatment. And this is this reminded me when you mentioned the Canadians going to the embassy. Well, students stormed the U.S. embassy in Iran, and they took 66 Americans hostage. Now, I was alive during this time. I was a kid. You guys were not alive, but almost alive. Yeah,
I was 3 years from being a thought, and
you were still swimming in the sack at that time. But
Whoa,
so Carter tried to set up an operation in 80 to recover it. These hostages were held for years, by the way, several years. It was not just a little bit. And then there's a lot of discussion about how, what, where, and why. But bottom line is they had a deal negotiated, and then for optics, they waited until Reagan was inaugurated.
Hold on a second. This just populated. Let's see what this is.
By killing you guys for taking out Soleimani.
Well, they haven't done that, and that would be a terrible thing for them to do. Not because of me. If they did that, they would be obliterated. That'd be the end. I've left instructions. If they do it, they get obliterated. There won't be anything left. And they shouldn't be able to do it. And Biden should have said that, but he never did. I don't know why, lack of intelligence, perhaps. But he never said it. If that happens to a leader, or close to a leader, frankly, if you had other people involved also, you would call for total obliteration of a state that did it. That would include Iran. So I'm signing.
So, and again, back to the other reason why I believe they already have a nuke is you just look at what's in the zeitgeist out there. the meetings with them were not peace talks; they were nuclear talks,
Right.
branded. And Trump is repeating over and over, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. It's like over and over and over again. It's like speaking it into existence, speaking it into truth. Which is sort of, you and I are having a little bit of that conversation yesterday, and that's like from the Tucker and Megan Riley podcast. Like, same thing like Tucker was saying, is that it's just being spoken into existence. Like, unfortunately, I think it's going to take that mushroom cloud, or it's going to be body cam footage of, like, we just stormed this facility that was supposed to be a nuclear power plant, and it turns out, like, here's an actual weapon right here that we.
But then you're putting boots on ground. I don't think Trump. Okay, so this
no,
is
he doesn't
one thing.
Want to do that.
I don't even think Trump wanted to do what he's done. I think that Iran had left him really no talk, and this is once again. What he's done so far is really, I mean, the rest of the world, here's where we'll end up, because I want to do a part 2 on this. We didn't get to Epstein tonight, so we'll have to continue up on that. Evan, I know you did so much research. I know you've got a few things that you want to share and talk about, so I want to give you some space to do that.
What if Evan was on the Epstein list?
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I'm not,
Find out tomorrow.
Find out tomorrow.
But what this is doing is really putting Russia and China on notice.
Yeah.
Like, because these are leaders that are not, the leaders of these countries are not pro country, they're pro themselves. Let's be honest. Most of these countries are. So none of these leaders want to die. And what we found out that Trump's really good at doing is finding the right time to strike and striking, and not being afraid of what anybody thinks about it. Not defending it like somebody told him to do it. No, I told him, I gave him 7 to 15 days. You know what? 6 just seemed like a better timing. So we just took advantage of the fact that these idiots all sat in the same room at the same time.
Opportunity.
And we're like, hey, please just destroy all of us at once. Those guys are gone. They've spent years saying death to America. They've spent years saying that they couldn't be touched. They spent years trying to develop nuclear firepower instead of trying to build up a country for their citizens to thrive in, to build up their power economically, to be a player in world trade, etc. Those things are all off the table, or on the table again now, right? They're gone. As Trump said it, I made a move to give Iranians their freedom and to protect the rest of the world from evil people, right? Essentially, I'm summarizing what he set up. So now it's up to that people of Iran to take over their government and to start building a new country. Now there's going to be IRG, there's going to be secret police, there's going to be the Basij and all these up there. Hopefully they can see for their own sake as well that this is their country. They have a way to build it up instead of murdering thousands of their own people, because ultimately there's nobody there to reward them from that system now. And then for people like China and Russia, it kind of just tells you, like, hey, you know what? Maybe this Trump dude is a little fucking more crazy than we even thought he was. Maybe North Korea is like, let's just keep our mouth shut. I haven't heard them do a nuclear test of any kind. And really, since Trump took over.
Yeah.
The second term. So I think these other countries realize that, you know what, if it benefits the United States, if it somehow gives us another strengthening point or another foothold in the power of the world, it's not off the realm of possibility for Trump to do so. And the last thing he's going to do is be made to look a fool, in the sense of, if I give you a deadline, or if I say that I want to accomplish something, like, just take part of the negotiations and make it happen, or else I'm going to go boom in the night, right?
I was trying to find this meme that I spotted earlier, would have been epic for right now, but it was a picture of the compound and a little caption that said, well, I guess they should have held that meeting by Zoom then.
Evan, what do you got, man? You did a lot of research, and I feel bad. Dave and I kind of took on and talked a lot.
No, you guys are fine. I will. I'm playing catch up. I'm always playing catch up with you guys, because you guys are always.
But you got a little notes section, or is it mostly on the Epstein style?
It's mostly on the, like, Epstein, not on Epstein. The most, like, the top 5 stuff you always say look into. Like, you have one of the things, like, should people, like, have groceries?
Yeah.
In their house. And I did research, and the government says you should have up to 2 weeks of groceries always in your house.
Oh, really?
Yeah, always 2 to 3 weeks.
Good news.
So,
well, hey, let's wrap this up. Okay, we got a little challenge. I got you a piece of paper and I got you a pen.
Okay.
All right. Now, this is going to be the new part of the show. We're going to call this Evan Snaps versus AI.
Oh, dun, dun, dun. I'm not going to know any of this.
All right. So, Evan, I'm going to make this extremely easy on you. Okay. Here's the question. And I want to make sure that I give our friend Grok a fair shake at this. Now here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give you a little bit of a head start so you can think about the question because Grok doesn't have to think. And I want to make this as fair as possible. Here's one for the human race. All right, Evan, I need you to create an optimized night before and first day schedule for a man starting his first day of work at a new company.
What do you want me? You
called
want me to write out
Budweiser.
the whole thing?
Yeah, so I just need you to shimmy up your I need you a little game plan. So starting at arriving at home at 8:30 at night until the next day, how should a guy starting his new job plan out his evening and the next day? Go.
I already know how I'm doing that. I don't even.
So you don't even need to write it
I don't
down?
even need to write it down.
All right, speak. All right, go ahead, speak.
I'm gonna go home, shower, get all my clothes out for tomorrow, and then do some more research on products and brands that I'm gonna be working with.
Okay.
And then hit the sack. Set
What time are you gonna go to bed?
I'm gonna try to be in bed by 9:30.
You're not gonna get home until 8:30. So this is an hour. You're gonna shower, shave, and you're gonna go ahead and do some research on products. And you're gonna be asleep by 9:30.
Probably 9:30 or 10. I'm gonna be knocking the hell off.
All right. And then what time are you getting up the next day?
7 o'clock.
7 a.m. wake up call.
Yes.
Okay.
I was set 2 alarms.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna get ready. I don't have to shower or anything. Put my clothes on. Head out the door. I buy my lunch on the road, so I'll usually buy a salad or something.
Oh, I thought you meal prepped.
I do meal prep, but I don't know how my work week is going to be like for this new job, so I'm just going to be buying stuff.
What time do you actually report to work tomorrow?
8:30.
8:30. Okay.
How far of a drive is it?
20 minutes.
Okay.
It's in
All right.
Brecksville.
All right. Now we're gonna give AI a chance here.
You know how close to similar it is. How close?
All right, Grok, you there?
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm right here. What's up?
Tomorrow, Evan starts his new job at Budweiser after spending 10 years as a sales rep for Miller Lite. He's going to arrive home about 8:30 p.m. tonight. I need you to plan his schedule from 8:30 p.m. tonight until he needs to arrive at work tomorrow at 9 a.m. What? Grok, you there?
I win.
Winner Evan! Winner Evan!
Thus far, Evan is winning.
Yep.
Grok, are you there? What is going on?
Grok shut you down.
Grok, you there?
Yeah, still here. You can't shut me down that easy.
All right, I
What's
must
next?
hit the wrong button. Hey, listen, Evan starts his new job tomorrow. Okay? I think I just denied my mic somehow. That's what's happening. All right, Grok, are you there? Can you hear me? All right, Grok, here we go. Evan starts his new job tomorrow at 9 a.m. at Budweiser after spending 10 years working at Miller Lite. He's going to arrive home this evening at approximately 8:30 p.m. I need you to plan out his schedule from 8:30 p.m. until he needs to arrive at work tomorrow at 9 a.m., mostly optimizing everything we can, and he is a diabetic, so take that into consideration.
All right, let's get Evan set up. Smooth, low stress, and blood sugar friendly. Here's the tightest, most realistic plan from 8:30 p.m. tonight till 9 a.m. tomorrow. 8:30 p.m. Arrive home. Kick off shoes, quick stretch, 2 minutes. Wash hands, check blood sugar right away. Baseline before dinner. 8:35, 8:55 p.m. Dinner. Keep it simple. Grilled chicken breast, 4 to 5 ounces, steamed broccoli, half a sweet potato, carbs 25 grams, slow release. Pair with water or unsweetened tea. No beer, no soda. Take insulin if needed. You know your ratio. 8:55 to 9:05 p.m. Cleanup and meds. Load dishwasher, wipe counters. Pop evening meds, metformin, whatever else. 9:05 to 9:30 p.m. Wind down. Shower. Warm, not hot. Avoids blood sugar spikes. Lay out tomorrow's outfit. Khakis, polo, work badge. Pack lunch. Turkey wrap, apple, almonds. Low GI. 9:30 to 10 p.m. Prep and relax. Set alarm 6:30 a.m. Primary, 6:45 a.m. backup. Charge phone, watch, work laptop. 10 minutes light reading or podcast, nothing stressful. 10:15 p.m., bedtime routine, brush teeth, floss. Final blood sugar check. Aim for 100 to 140 before sleep. If low, grab a few nuts or cheese stick. If high, skip. 10:15 p.m.,
Lights
out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I spoke and she's listening. 8:15. All right, so then here, I'll read the rest of it since I spoke. 6:30, wake up, alarm, sit up, check blood pressure. If less than 80, small juice box. 6:35 to 7 a.m., Greek yogurt, coffee, black or splash of cream. 7 to 7:20, morning routine, quick shower if needed, dress, brush teeth, pack lunch if not done the night before. 7:20 to 7:45, commute buffer. Leave house by 7:45. This assumes 30 minutes drive to Budweiser plant. Traffic's light early. 8:15 to 8:45. Arrive early. Park. Walk in. Grab badge. Grab water. Settle the nerves. First day jitters are normal. 9 a.m. Start work. You're golden. Pro tips: keep a glucose meter and fast-acting carbs, glucose, or juice in your bag. If you feel shaky tonight or tomorrow, eat. Don't wait. You got this. 10 years at Miller Lite means you're already a pro, Evan.
Oh, Lord.
All right, dude. So I got to tell you, we need to vote on this. Who has the better schedule for ultimate success? Evan, who has no idea what he's going to eat for dinner, lunch, or breakfast tomorrow, despite being a diabetic.
Shut up.
Is not going to get up until 7 o'clock, and then even though he has to be at work at 9, and give himself an
8:30.
hour to get everything done in the morning, which really 7 means 7:40 because he's going to snooze 6 times. All right, guys, we got to wrap this one up because I'm going to be late to Canton and I got to go pick up my daughter. But hey, stay tuned for part 2. We're going to finish up that Epstein discussion. We're going to get out our top 5 celebrity standards. So if you stayed on this long, or scandals, so if you stayed in this long and you missed out, I'm sorry. And anything else, David?
Go out and be nice to people.
Go out and be nice to people. Evan?
Go out and have a good life.
Good luck on your first day at work.
I'm freaking out, man, buddy.
Good night, everybody.